This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
We are getting close to the weekend. And that means Brewers Outlet. Reagan Street in Sunbury. The beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews. The best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and out every day. 6 great flavors of slushies. And ready-to-drink cocktails. Which means High Noon, Jack Daniels, Crown Royal, and the pickle bar led by the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none. All at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. We talked about Michigan. We'll get to that more. We have mostly guests. I think we have all guests tomorrow, but
depends on if the king calls in.
Right, that's true. Yeah. And it's interesting that right now, for example, you have the Premier League soccer starting up this weekend. In fact, Liverpool's going to face Bournemouth. Bournemouth's one of the up and rising programs in the Premier League, and Liverpool's the defending champion. In this country, you have MLS. And MLS has journeymen all over the place, and it's also a retirement home for many of the great stars. Messi's now playing here. Rooney played here for a period of time. I believe Mbappe's here too.
I just signed a guy from South Korea too.
Right.
That retired from not in the Premier League anymore.
Right. But again, the MLS is kind of like a rest home. They're now involved in a 10-year deal with Apple. There is no way in heck that's helping them. That's not helping them. I didn't understand why they didn't sign a short-term deal. Negotiating, in other words, let's have the deal run out after the 26th season, maybe after the 27th season. Why? So that when you're sitting down to negotiate with them, you're doing so during the swirl of, or just after the swirl of, the World Cup in North America. Next year it's going to be incredibly embraced across the entire country, plus Canada and Mexico. It'll be men's soccer in terms of interest. And they're not going to take advantage of it. By the time they're going to negotiate their next TV, the World Cup will be in the rearview mirror. And that's just the way, and they've got a problem with the calendar. And so does the WNBA. They both have calendar problems. Why? because established leagues have already taken the calendar spots. The NFL is, and not only that, they've expanded their calendar spots. The NFL used to be August, preseason, to the end of the year. Then it became August to the middle of January. Then it became August now to the middle of February. They've expanded their year. Okay. The famous goal that Bobby Orr scored, where he got tripped up by Noel Picard and got flipped in the air, and it looks like he's flying in the air after he scored, which Glenn Hall, the goalie, said, is that the only goal he ever scored? I see it 1,000 times. And he's the goalie who gave it up. He says, and it was scored on Mother's Day. That's when the Stanley Cup ended. The NHL season now goes 1 month beyond Mother's Day. Basketball. Now, this was done by necessity. The NBA. You want to know why the NBA finishes in June? Because when they were not a rating success, they were told by the networks, we can't have you finish in May because that's a sweeps month for ratings. So they finished in June. And then they found their toehold in June, and they finished in June. So now you're squeezing out times available for other leagues to get involved. So MLS, they get squeezed out on time. WNBA gets squeezed out on time. There are other sports that take the time up, take the spot.
I don't know how they combat that, though.
Oh, I don't know either. I mean, things have changed over the years.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how to combat it. I could never give them a suggestion in a million years how to combat that. I mean, because the more established sports have now own it. They now own it. College football used to be Labor Day weekend, New Year's Day. Okay? Last year's championship game was on January 20th. Again, expanded season. And not only that, next weekend is week 0. Now, what fool comes up with, just call it week 1, for God's sakes. All right? Doesn't matter.
They do the same thing in high school football, too.
It's just stupid. Well, I mean, why don't you do things that make sense? Okay? But regardless, a week from tomorrow is the high school football opener. A week from Saturday is the college football opener with Iowa State playing Kansas State in Dublin. And that is, I mean, all the established sports have expanded their calendars. College basketball goes now all the way to the very first Monday of November. I mean, Penn State's going to open on November 3rd. And the season goes all the way to the first weekend in April. Golf, Players in March, Masters in April. In May, it's the PGA. In June, it's the U.S. Open. The Open and Championship is July. This is what they do. Everybody's expanded their calendar, and anybody new on the block, it's hard for them to fit in. The next part was approved. And we all know the Celtics sale was going to be a huge number. Okay, got it. It's a huge number. The more significant sale to me is not that the Celtics were sold, but that the Blazers were sold. And the Blazers were sold for $4 billion. The Suns were sold for $4.2 billion the year before. That means if they want an expansion team, these sales drive up the expansion number that they can get. That's if they want to. That's if they want to give expansion teams a cut of the TV deal, which is $77 billion. And that's a bone of contention with some of the programs in the NBA right now because they'd like to keep their share and not have it sliced into.
I think we touched on this a little bit last week with the King. But speaking of sale fees and all that stuff, did you see what went on? Did you see what went on when they tried to sell the Sun, the Connecticut team, to the Celtics minority owner?
Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
And why they can't?
Yeah, because
they don't
there's something in there.
They don't differentiate between selling a team and expansion. So
right.
Anybody that lost in the race for an expansion team in the WNBA gets first crack at buying the Sun, no matter if they match his offer or not.
Right. And Boston did not apply for an expansion team.
Correct. So they have no shot at it.
So I think what Cleveland gets first dibs?
Well, no. Those teams were awarded.
Okay.
Awarded expansion teams. It's the cities that lost.
Okay.
Have the option, are the first ones that have the option to buy that team.
Who lost?
I'm not even sure, because they just announced who won the teams. But apparently that guy from if the guy from the Celtics wants to buy them, he has to put them in one of these cities. He can't put it in Boston. So he doesn't want to buy it, obviously.
Yeah, I know.
Well, talk about. I don't know. If somebody wants one of your teams and wants to put it in one of your most storied places to play, and it drew there when they did go there this season and last season, it just seems like another entity shooting itself in the foot for no reason.
Yeah. It's a very strangely run league. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And next year they might go on strike. Now they'll play next summer, but next year they may go on strike afterward. And let's be honest about it. That is a league that can ill afford to have a strike.
Well, when they do go on strike, it'll be like in October, so it's before their season, in the middle of football season, the baseball playoffs. Nobody's going to know they're on strike until the spring. I mean, they're not.
Make a joke here.
I mean, they're not.
I'm saying I'm going to stay away from the joke.
Yes.
I'm going to stay away from it. Yeah. It was interesting this morning when I went there. As you know, when have I ever brought up the ranking for Penn State in the show?
Never?
Pretty much, yeah. So I'm sitting there this morning, and I was up on the stage with two reporters, and it came up over and over. I'm sitting there like going. So finally, when it was my turn to speak, I said, "Who cares where they're ranked?" I said, "If you have no loss," I said, "it's all about 0, 1, and 2. You have no losses." I said, "You get an automatic bid in a top 4 seed. You have 1 loss, you're automatically in. It's no problem. 2 losses, you're in the opinion pool. 3 losses, you're out." I said, that's pretty simple as to how it goes. I said, and it doesn't, and they may evaluate who you lost to, I said, but that's the opinion poll part of it. If you have 0 or 1, I said, you have nothing to worry about. I said, you are in. It's all about the 12 teams. It's all about the 12. It's not about anything else. Doesn't matter they're ranked second. I mean, I think it's an adorable deal that Michigan and Ohio State were each ranked number 2 going into their respective seasons when they won it. I mean, that's like, oh, how about that? Well, yeah, how about that?
That might mean even less than the ranking does.
I know. It's all everything's coincidence. Yeah.
I do think that's a function of people not being used to the new era of college football. Because like when we talked about this yesterday, that used to be your starting point for where you were going to be. It did used to mean something, and I think. I'm not sure people realize that it does not factor into the playoff committee at all.
Right. Well, there's a lot of things that are new. Right? Now, in high school football, you can't talk about this because high school football rosters are just so relatively small these days. Fair?
Fair.
Right? But how often have you heard anybody talk about you really need a core group of 50 guys to win a national championship? How often have you ever heard that?
Here.
Yeah, but I mean, anywhere else? Anybody else talk about it? No. I mean, and that's what you need. Yeah. And now, does one of the 50 guys have to be a star quarterback? Yeah. And and they were talking about the Ohio State game and the Oregon game, so I politely answered questions. But they said, what do they need to do to win games like that? So you're polite about it, but I haven't really thought too much about it. But at least going from my experience, I said, look, there are 5 to 6 plays in every game to determine the outcome. I said, you got to win 4 out of the 6. I said, and it may be play 6. It could be play 26, could be play 86. I said, you don't know which play it is. I said, but you got to win 4 out of those 6. And the bottom line is you need to have your stars be your stars. That's why they're stars. Stars emerge in the biggest games and thus achieve stardom by their performances. I said, you need your stars to be your stars in the big games. I said, you can get back to strategy and play calling and things like that. I said, it's all about execution. I said, so when it comes to winning games like that, that's what you have to do. I mean, Penn State won all the big plays, every one of them in the SMU game. Penn State won every big play in the Boise State game, every one of them. That's why they won those 2 big games. That's how they got to the semifinal. They won some of the big plays in the Notre Dame game, but not enough. But you need your stars to be your stars in those games.
I can think of 2 plays. The interception in the end zone by that Ohio State kid.
Yep.
Which was probably one of the best defensive plays all season.
Great play by Igbenogson.
That's he doesn't make that play, that there's a good chance that Penn State gets some points in that drive, and it's a whole different game.
Yep.
And 100, if Abdul has both arms, he probably collects that fumble at the end of the half in the Notre Dame game, and it's
right.
And it's
I don't think Notre Dame wins.
Yeah. So right there, you can literally almost point to 2 plays that affected their national championship chances.
I mean, and you've got to, and those are the kind of plays you have to be the winner on.
Yeah.
Now, on the Igbenogson play, look, you're just hoping it's an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
I mean, people were jumping up and down. They thought Wallace had the ball on that play.
Like, you couldn't tell the play he made with with live eyes. You needed the replay to see it.
Right.
I still don't think that play got enough love overall for the entire year, just as amazing as it was.
No, it did not. It was a great play. And the other team, they're capable of making those great plays. And you have to be the one to make them. So
this. Sometimes this all comes down to luck. Sometimes.
Well, sometimes. Sometimes, I mean, no doubt it plays a role. And you go out there and, like, you have to make your own luck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how that's to me how I look at games. Can you win the 5 to 6, maybe 7 or 8 big plays in a game? Can you win the majority of them? Are your stars the stars? Okay. Because somebody asked me today about how they're going to handle Jonathan Smith, and I said, no offense, they handled him last year. I mean, Jonathan Smith was no factor against Penn State. Or Jeremiah Smith, I'm sorry. Jeremiah Smith was no factor in the Penn State game. Igbuka was. He was the factor.
They're loving him in Tampa, too.
Well, they should.
Oh,
I've always thought he was a really good player. Yeah.
I was going to say, he's one of those guys that he's been the second best receiver on that team for like 4 years.
Yeah, no, he's
and the number one on that team has always been really, really good.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. and the kid up in Seattle, Smith and Jigma. I mean, they've had a series of really good ones there. No getting around it. This guy's the latest one.
Yeah.
I mean, when it came time to vote on the Big Ten all preseason, I had to vote for 10 people. Of course, he's one of the 10 people I voted for, and it didn't matter if you voted a guy 1 or you voted him 10, as long as he's in there, because they don't do he's the preseason player of the year, where a person is positioned. Right? But I mean, he's one of the best players in the country, and at least last year. Well, I mean, this year he could go crazy down at Columbus. I don't know, but at least last year, with the same corners, A.J. Harris and Elliott Washington, they did a good job of keeping him really off the board.
And in theory, who knows how to defend him better than the guy that watched him in practice all year last year?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, there's certain segments where it's good on good. So yeah, he would do that. But and I mean, the Jim Knowles factor. Yeah, the Jim Knowles factor comes into play. But you know what? I think the first 3 games are important for Jim Knowles. You want to know why? Because remember how we talked about Vic Fangio yesterday with Dave Spadaro? And Dave doesn't like my theory on backup quarterbacks, you can tell. It's like, let's not get blind here, okay? If he were a starting quarterback in the league, somebody would have traded for him by now. Okay? Okay? Backup quarterbacks, that's why, Case Keenum's made a career out of being a backup quarterback. You can come in and fill the void for a game or two. It's the long-term problem that comes into play because now they get video on you. Now they know your tendencies, what you like to do, what you don't like to do. Right? Like you've got a full body of work.
That's why you keep saying how important the one is for the battle for Penn State's backup is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, last year Bo Prabula was needed and had to step in the Wisconsin game when Drew got hurt. And Penn State.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Buying a car shouldn't eat up your week. That's why Carvana made it convenient. Car buying that fits around your life, not the other way around. You can get pre-qualified for an auto loan in just a couple of minutes and browse thousands of quality car options, all within your terms, all online, all on your schedule. Turn car buying into a few clicks and not a full week's endeavor. Finance and buy your car at your convenience on
Carvana.
Financing subject to credit approval. Additional terms and conditions may apply.
He was behind when he came in the game.
Game time or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you, and thank you for your years of patronage.
Nothing, nada, zilch. That's what you'll pay this summer to drive a brand new Kia from Sunbury Motors Kia.
Wanna see ya in a Kia. Sunbury Motors Kia.
That's right, get 0% APR financing for 48 months on 2025 Kia Sportages, Kia's most popular model. Plus, get 0.9% APR financing for 48 months on 2025 all-wheel drive Kia Sportage hybrids. They get up to 38 mpg. SMC also has 1.9% APR financing for 48 months on the all-wheel drive, brand new, refresh-styled 2026 Kia Sportage LX, starting at just over $32,000. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Nothing, nada, zilch. With as low as 0% APR financing at Sunbury Motors Kia on the Strip at Hummel's Wharf and at sunburymotorskia.com.
Hi, this is Season. For over 100 years, the Purdy Insurance Agency has been protecting families and businesses of the greater Susquehanna Valley and beyond. With the experience of our trained and knowledgeable staff, you can rest assured that your needs will be evaluated and met by some of the industry's best representatives. No matter what your insurance needs are, call Purdy Insurance today at 570-286-5855. Visit our website at purdyinsurance.com or check us out on Facebook to see what we can do for you.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Great to have you with us on the show today, brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. When it came time for me to buy a vehicle, there was no question where I was going to go. It was going to be Sunbury Motors. No question. And Ford, Kia, Hyundai, the best in new inventory, great pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors guarantee, and terrific service department that makes such a big difference in everything. Inspections, routine, difficult, quick lane, all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia. Routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. The Phillies continue to play great baseball. And the Brewers continue to do great things.
12 in a row.
And Orioles are beating the Mariners right now 5-0 in the 6th. Still early. But
I did see they're giving Cal the day off, so maybe he won't be able to lead them back today.
Well, he's going to be here on Sunday. Going to be up in Williamsport Sunday with Julio Rodriguez.
I think that was basically what they said was they're going to New York. It's going to be humid this weekend, and Sunday is going to be busy.
Yep, very busy. Paul Goldschmidt's going to the IL for the Yankees. The Dodgers are not in first place any longer. On July 3rd, they had a 9-game lead in the West. Since then, they are 12-21. They got swept by the Angels. In fact, they played the Angels 6 times this year. Do you realize the Angels won all 6? The Angels won all 6, and right now the Padres lead the West.
I think we talked about this in the trade deadline day. I don't know if I'd want to face the back end of that Padres bullpen in a short series or a long series.
Well, that's what the Red Sox were saying when they went in there. They asked Alex Cora. It was the second game of the series, and they ran like each one of those guys out because the Red Sox won the first night by such a big number that San Diego was like, all right, the heck with it. We're not going to use our top people. The next day, San Diego really needed to win. It was a close game. And they asked Alex Cora about it. He said, whoa. He said, that is something else. But right now, the Dodgers, I mean, Ohtani pitched into the 5th inning last night, but so what? They lost again. And so right now, Toronto 4.5 up on the Red Sox, 6 on the Yankees. Detroit 6.5 up on Cleveland. Houston is 1 game up on Seattle. The Phillies are 5 up on the Mets. The Brewers are 7.5 up on the Cubs. The Padres are 1 game up on the Dodgers. In the wild and wacky world of the wild card, the wild card leader in the American League is Seattle. The number 2 team, the Red Sox. Number 3, the Yankees. Cleveland is a game back of the Yankees. Texas 3.5 back. Wild card National League, Cubs, Dodgers. The Mets, believe it or not, have the last wild card, despite everything. They're 2-8 in their last 10. And the Reds are a game back of the Mets. Cardinals are 4 back.
I think I said this before. I really like the Reds. They got Hunter Green back yesterday. I mean, Terry Francona guy knows what he's doing.
They pitched 6 games. He pitched 6 innings last night.
Yeah, they're
Green. That was big for them.
This has nothing to do with anything, but did you see when they were playing the Pirates last weekend that Ellie De La Cruz and O'Neill Cruz got Matt McClain between them for like a picture? You know, Ellie De La Cruz is 6'5" and O'Neill is 6'7", right. And Matt McClain's 5'8".
5'8", yeah. Yeah.
I'm a tall guy. That stuff makes me laugh.
Hey, that's pretty good. Right.
You know, that's our favorite part of the Purdy tournament, right?
Absolutely. The picture.
They stick Drew with us, and we're all like 6'4" and 6'5".
Yeah, and Drew is not quite 6'2" to 6'5".
No, he is not.
No. I mean, Chad's the tallest one, right?
It's pretty close between him and Dave. Dave and him are both taller than me.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. David. Yeah, that's right. Dave. They probably. Yeah. Dave probably is.
And then last year it wasn't Dave, it was Blake Haddon, and Blake Haddon's taller than all of us.
Yeah, Blake Haddon's the tallest of the group. Yeah. By the way, best record American League, Toronto. Best record National League and in baseball, Milwaukee. The Phillies, 7-3 their last 10, even though they've lost 2 in a row. But they're playing great. They're playing great. All right. 37 wins at home and 32 on the road. They're above 500 on the road. What a difference that makes. What a difference that makes.
Scott Lauber just reported that they had some trouble last night getting out of Cincinnati. They had to stay overnight, and they just got to Washington at 2:30. I mean, it could have been worse if they weren't on the plane that long. At least it doesn't take that long to fly to Washington. It sounds like they at least were able to get a decent night's sleep. It wasn't like that. Remember when we talked to Scott at the beginning of the season, and they were in Atlanta at 3 a.m, and then had to play the next. They had like an afternoon game the next day.
Yeah.
And we talked to them the next night.
It's a little bit of a problem.
That's when the job's not quite as fun as it usually is.
Yeah, because look, I've had some road trips where I've gotten back at 4:30 in the morning, 5:30, 6:30 in the morning sometimes. You just kind of stagger home. but I wouldn't trade it for. I wouldn't trade it for anything. The job is phenomenal. So, it doesn't mean everything's Shangri-La. Yeah. Every once in a while, stuff like that happens. But you know what? For those guys, they may have gotten in at 2:30 in the morning. Yeah, is it an issue? Sure. But you know what you're still doing? You're playing baseball for a living. That's not that bad. Right?
I would love to know how much more of these shorter games help them. Everybody involved. Just being fresher, the games being better.
Probably helps them a lot. I mean, I would think. I think it helps tremendously shorter games, and when you start taking, let's just say, let's use a round number, a half hour off every game, and you have 7 games during the week, or let's just take 6 games in a week. If maybe you have an off day, you just save 3 hours. That's a week. In a month, you've saved 12.
It's a night and a half of sleep.
Yeah. It depends on who the player is, by the way.
Well, that's true, too.
The player may not take advantage of the sleep time appropriated.
There's not a lot of those guys anymore, though.
No, there seems to be fewer of those guys.
I've been reading a lot of stories that they don't, like beer makers and alcohol makers do not know what to do in the next 10 or 15 years because the next generation does not drink at all. Or, well, not compared to previous generations.
Well, that's the other interesting part about shorter games. They cut off beer sales or alcohol sales in the 7th inning, right?
Yeah.
Well, the 7th inning, the games are shorter. So instead of maybe getting an extra 10 or 15 minutes of beverage sales, they're cut off. Okay.
I wonder if that gets reflected in the price, either now or in sometime in the near future.
How dare you think that way? It's awful. To think that way, terrible. You know, just seems so diabolical you would even think something like that.
I sound like Lex Luthor.
I know. All right, we'll wrap it up in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
What's better than 0% financing on a new car? 0% plus additional discounts on a new car from Sunbury Motors Hyundai. Be a hero with zero. There's 0% APR financing for up to 60 months plus an additional $2,250 SMC discount on 2025 Hyundai Santa Fe SELs. There's also 0% APR financing for up to 60 months plus an additional $2,500 SMC discount on 2025 Hyundai Palisade Calligraphies. Sunbury Motors Hyundai has 3.99% APR financing for 72 months plus an additional $1,500 SMC discount on 2025 Hyundai Tucsons. Remember, all new Hyundais come with Hyundai Assurance and are backed by America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. What's better than 0% financing? 0 plus SMC discounts. Save thousands now only at Sunbury Motors Hyundai in the North 4th Street Auto Plaza, Sunbury.
All right, wrapping up for today. We have a lot of guests tomorrow. We got a boatload of them tomorrow. Seems like everything falls into place all at once.
That was my thought, too.
A week from today, by the way, will be our first high school roundtable of the season. Can you believe that?
I cannot. Though it's been repeated so often this week to me that next week is football season, I am prepared for it now.
Oh, I'm sure you are. Yeah. So, it's that time. We're finally almost to the time where we're talking about games. College football season starts a week from Saturday, so it's 9 days away. Dublin's the first game with Iowa State, Kansas State. Penn State is 2 weeks from Saturday. So, the red light, yellow, green light meetings will take place on Monday. And then they'll break camp and then start doing what they would refer to as the extra practices for Nevada. And to be honest with you, we were talking last night, a couple of us, we feel like this camp has flown by. Right? I mean, we feel like the camp has flown by. For whatever reason, I don't know what the reason is. Part of it is it's been pretty much, to this point, knock on wood, standard fare.
I was going to say you're having a very Eagles-like preseason.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's been very much under the radar.
Quiet and going about your business.
Yeah. And that's about the way it's gone. Yeah.
Which I was going to say, for a team with high expectation, that's exactly how you want it to go.
Right. You don't need any drama. There's been no drama out there. I mean, it's been a drama-free camp. I don't know. And that's what you want. You want a drama-free camp. Well, it doesn't mean there aren't guys fighting for positions or things like that. I mean, I'm just like, it has been drama-free. So,
luckily, there's no Jerry Jones of Penn State football.
Yeah, I don't think that would work.
No.
Could you see that? Oh, my goodness. It's like watching as the world turns.